Hello everyone, so today we're going to be going over what is a calorie, something that's been covered over quite a lot, especially with the beginners, but a lot of people often don't understand what a calorie is and what a macro is. So we're going to go in today with a little bit more in depth and a little bit more detail of understanding what actually is a calorie and what are macros. So going forward, first of all, if you don't know who I am, obviously I'm Joe Murphy. I'm a personal trainer. I'm also qualified with a bachelor's and master's degree in strength conditioning. I'm also an online coach. I'm an ex-rugby player, so I played in a Premiership academy growing up, and I've also played semi-professional rugby during my early 20s. Now I'm a competitive powerlifter, competing at regional and national level competitions, and I've also helped over 100 plus individuals just like yourself with body transformations, reducing body fat percentages, improving lifestyles, increasing muscle mass from various backgrounds and various abilities. So going forward, what is a calorie and how did it come about of what it is? So originally calories were the unit of measurement of heating and raising temperature by 1 degree Celsius, and that is the measurement of unit of energy, how it first got established. From that, we also then applied it to nutrition, and that is the measurement. So basically, it's a measurement of unit of energy. So that is how it's established of how many units of energy within that food that is. So basically, that is what a calorie is. Okay, so macros, splitting into macros, there are 3 macros: protein, carbohydrates and fats. Protein, often seen in most meats, carbohydrates are an energy source, and fats are secondary energy source, and it's great for slowing down digestion and also regulating hormones. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail. Protein, important for muscle growth, bones, skin, hair, and it's also a great source of building muscle. So a lot of people who are training will need a protein intake. Obviously, from vegetarian and a vegan background, it becomes a little bit more difficult as protein sources become more scarce. But that being said, is it possible? 100%. Yes, you can obviously still lead a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle and still achieve results, but it just becomes much more difficult, and also obviously it just prohibits the actual amount of variety you can have with vegetarian and vegan options. Also as well, it also comes with a high amount of fiber. With that, it can slow down digestion, research suggests, and also it could lead to having this high amount of fiber can also prohibit protein synthesis, which is basically saying the amount of protein you digest, you need actually more of it as a vegetarian or vegan, because it doesn't absorb at the same rate as other protein sources. So that's what research suggests. I think that's just something to take in mind going forward if you are a vegetarian or vegan. Fats. So fats is maintaining healthy skin and hair, insulating body organs and against shock, maintaining body temperature and promoting healthy cell function. So, so often when people lose body fat, they will actually feel the cold a lot more. That's something very common. And also it's very great for regulating hormone control, something that is back in the 80s and 90s, low-fat diets was much more of a thing, because they were much more worried about saturated fat. But it did, with people that go on these diets, they did realise they did have much more of unregulated hormones, and it can also be detrimental for long-term health. So it's actually important to get some fats within your diet, obviously within your specific macros that you have. So some of my clients, so the people who are watching this, obviously are my clients, so the fats are important for regulating hormone control. So what are good fats? Oils, olive oils, eggs, salmon, so good healthy fishes with the healthy omegas, coconut oil, obviously in the video there, avocado, stuff like this. It's much more calorie dense compared to carbohydrate, so per gram it's much higher, but it is important to have within your diet, so please don't avoid it, even though it is a little bit more calorie dense. You just have to be a little bit more careful with fats, in my opinion, with getting it to the gram, because it is much more easier to have something that's much more low volume, say peanut butter, for example. Measuring that is going to be very important, instead of just having a tablespoon maybe to the gram, because it can actually vary in volume a lot, which can be quite a lot of calories when added up. Carbohydrates, the main energy source in our body. So if we have carbohydrates in the system, our body's going to use that as a measure of, it's going to use that as the main energy source. So that is the main energy source found in the system. So often fruits, potatoes, oats, rice, grains, breads, so on and so forth, pastas. It's the main energy source that is also important to have in your diet. So especially if you're doing workouts, to fuel them workouts you need carbohydrates. This could be either, depending on how you want to distribute your macros, is either you can either have spread throughout the day, or you could have more pre and post workout, but generally you still should have carbohydrates, even though it may be taken back into, if you're doing a fat loss phase, if it's taken back a little bit, it's going to be the main energy source, still to prioritize pre and post workout. Fats is also, if you're going to have it with fats, it's going to slow down the digestion of that carbohydrate if you have a little bit of fat within that meal itself, so you might feel a little bit fuller as well. Oh, it's not liking me. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation. So a brief understanding what is a calorie and the three macros, and what are the main sources and what do they do. It's just a little bit more in depth detail. If you want a little bit more information, we can always go over it. So just to recap, carbohydrates, the main energy source. Fats can slow down digestion and hormone control, great for hair, bone, and insulating the body for organ health. Proteins, great for recovery and also establishing muscle growth, and it's also very satiating. I forgot that point as well. It's very satiating, so keeping you fuller for longer. So that's why I prioritise eating your protein first before saving it at the back end of the day, because it's actually going to be more likely to keep you a little bit fuller and less likely to, put your hand in the biscuit and go over your calories. So they are the three macros in a little bit more detail. Have a great rest of the day. I hope this information helps, and I will talk to you soon.